Thank you very much, Colin, and good morning to everyone. As Colin mentioned, I'm a senior sales specialist within Autodesk for Forma Construction and specifically responsible for the Benelux market. I will share a little bit, next slide, please. We'll share a little bit about the future. So that's why also you might recognize this from other presentations that Autodesk gives a safe harbor. The future might change. So I'll talk a little bit about the roadmap, but no, the roadmap can change a little bit. Next slide, please. So already mentioned Autodesk Forma. Autodesk Forma is one of three industry platforms that Autodesk has. Autodesk has on one side Autodesk Fusion for the manufacturing industry. On the other side, we have Flow for media and entertainment. And then we have Autodesk Forma, which is our industry platform for the AECO industry. That's architects, engineers, construction, and owner-operators. You may have also seen the rebranding of Autodesk Construction Cloud. Autodesk Construction Cloud is now fully embedded and under the same name as Autodesk Forma. Underneath the three industry platforms, we have the Autodesk data model, which is a uniform way to exchange granular data. This data is also accessible via the Autodesk Platform Services, which is our open API layer, which you can also connect with external applications and create your own developments and automations. Next slide, please. So quickly, I've talked about the rebranding that happens. I think most of you have seen this. For day-to-day working, not much has changed. It's mainly the name that has changed and the logo that has changed in the interface. But I quickly wanted to show this on a slide. This is just an overview of the different name changes in general. In most cases, Autodesk has been replaced by Forma, except for Autodesk Docs is now Forma Data Management, and Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro is Forma Design Collaboration. And on the next slide, why did we do this? Because we see that the construction industry is undergoing a profound transformation. And I'll share some examples from the region that I'm responsible for, but I think it will resonate to other regions within Europe as well when I talk with my European colleagues. But in the Netherlands, for example, there's a high shortage of housing. So there's a lot of development needed for social houses, but there's also still a rapid urbanization. So there's also a need for more high-rise buildings, for more complex buildings, multi-use, multi-purpose vertical buildings as well. Then a general trend in the Benelux that after the Second World War, a lot of new infrastructure was built, new roads, new bridges, new tunnels, initially engineered to last 100 years, but with the excess of traffic, there's a lot more traffic going over those bridges than initially engineered. So now they only have a lifespan of 60 years instead of 100 years. So that's why there's a lot of investments as well in rebuilding, renovating bridges, but also expanding as there are more and more cars on the roads. You also need to expand the current transportation infrastructure that we have. There's not only transportation infrastructure like roads, bridges, and tunnels, but we also have the energy transition ongoing. So there's a big demand for strengthening the grid, but also expanding the grid and building much more substations. All these owner operators, they're also thinking about how can they optimize the efficiency, how can they optimize the operational parts of the as-built environment. So they're also thinking about what kind of information do they demand from the people executing the projects to better manage their assets. So they're thinking, what do I need to build a digital twin so I can manage my asset lifecycle data better? So also more demand for information and accurate information. Now, this is all very complex. There's owner operators, they demand more, while in the construction industry, we see that there are fewer resources. We have an aging workforce. In the coming 5 years, a lot of people will retire. It's a lot of people with a lot of experience, with a lot of expertise, with a lot of know-how. That's a lot of know-how and knowledge that will get lost once they leave the company, and they leave behind a skills gap. If best practices is not captured in a platform. And then we also have material scarcity. And then also, if you look at the uncertainty in the world, the macroeconomics and the geopolitical situation at the moment, it's also causing a lot of uncertainty regarding energy prices. All this while the margins in construction are already very low and under pressure. Another challenge that we see is also an opportunity. Technology is advancing rapidly. Everything is moving to the cloud. There's an enormous amount of data being created every day, and it's only expanding more and more. And AI can be a scary beast if you don't know what to do with it. And if you don't apply AI now, if you don't learn about AI and don't get on the AI train, you will be left behind. Next slide, please. Now, we can overcome these challenges by collaborating even more and even better together with everybody involved, all the different stakeholders within a project, to all work from a single source of truth, that we all look at the same correct information. And that can be a combination of 2D and 3D to get better insights and to make it more accessible depending who needs to access and consume that data. But of course, that data also needs to be accurate. So it's important to improve that data accuracy. Then we also see that depending on the project, there are different ways of working. So if you want to overcome those challenges, you need to start working more efficiently by standardizing your way of working across projects. If you still have manual processes and manual workflows, it's time to start digitizing them, because only once they're digitized, you can also integrate them. And once they're integrated with other business applications, you can start transforming your business. On the next slide, please. Although we see that technology is evolving and advancing rapidly, you see more and more different point solutions and point tools in the market. But we see that a lot of companies, depending on the project, when they come across a challenge, they look for a solution for that specific challenge. They don't think about the bigger picture. There's no clear data strategy, no clear digital strategy. What happens is, depending on the project, they will all use different tools for a specific challenge, but these are all separate tools and separate data silos where information is captured. These tools, they don't always necessarily integrate very well with each other. So it's making it very challenging to bring all that information together in a structured way to have insights across the project lifecycle. Another challenge is that people don't know where they need to look for the right information depending on the project. In Belgium, we have an expression that people, they don't see the trees through the forest anymore. I don't know if that translates well into English, but they don't know where to look anymore for the right information. And maybe they will continue with wrong information. Maybe they have an outdated plan with which they will continue to execute with, and they were not aware of any changes of change requests from a client. With all the consequences, they go to the field, they execute something on an outdated plan, and then afterwards they need to rebuild it, which has an impact on the schedule, which has an impact on the costs, because it will take time, it will take material, it will take resources to fix that. Next slide, please. And that's why we have Autodesk Forma. Autodesk Forma is an industry platform that connects workflows, data, and teams across design, pre-construction, execution, and operational phase. Next slide, please. We go from a fragmented way of working, everybody working from the different data silos. Everybody has different ways of communicating. It can be email, it can be a WhatsApp, it can just be a phone call, WeTransfer, Dropbox, you name it. It makes it very complex to keep track where is the right information, which medium was this sent. So we move to a connected way of working and to connected data, that all the different stakeholders, they have access and they see for them the relevant, accurate, most up-to-date information. I also call this, besides a common data environment, also called a communication data environment, because it also allows to communicate around that information and around that data. And I also call it common decision-making environments because now everybody has the right, accurate data accessible to make more informed decisions. Next slide, please. You may be familiar with previously Autodesk Docs, now Autodesk Forma Data Management, which is our common data environment on which you can collaborate, you can manage and store different files, your models, your plans, and have workflows around them to facilitate collaboration around those documents. In the next slide. Well, what we're moving towards and which is already available today, is more granular data, is to access the data within those models on an object level, to access the data within 2D plans, within documents, within files. And it's also this granular data that will feed AI capabilities. This is already available today with the Autodesk, the AEC data model API. Next slide, please. Now we know we had maybe a confusing story before. We had the design work stream, we had a construction work stream, we had Autodesk Forma, mostly for conceptual design, BIM Collaborate Pro for design collaboration, and then Autodesk Construction Cloud for execution. So on the next slide, please. You'll see now we're bringing this all together in one integrated platform, which is Autodesk Forma, or industry platform. And then on the left, you see Autodesk site design and Autodesk building design. And these are the capabilities that will enable outcome-based modeling. Next slide, please. Outcome-based approach and outcome-based modeling is that you start with the outcomes that you want to achieve on your project. You want to, is sustainability important? Is net operating income important? Is time to deliver important? And based on the granular data, which will feed AI, AI will assist you with exploring the best options to achieve those outcomes. Next slide, please. So the intention of outcome-based BIM, outcome-based modeling, or just in general an outcome-based approach, it's to drive productivity across the whole project lifecycle. We're not there yet today. If you click on the next slide, please. But with Autodesk site design and building design, we're already shortening the planning and design phase. And we'll invest more and more in our capabilities, in our AI capabilities to drive productivity across all phases of a project lifecycle. Next slide, please. So now we'll talk a little bit high level. I will go over different modules within the Autodesk platform. And then afterwards, I'll also talk a little bit about AI within Autodesk Forma. So the next slide, please. You can also go to the next slide, please. So this is an overall overview of the different capabilities within Autodesk Forma. If you read it left to right, you start with planning and design, then you go to pre-construction, then you go to execution or the building phase, and then the operational phase of a project. The basis of this is a connected data, which you know of Forma data management. You have your documents management in there, but also has the granular data API and the AEC data model API. And you see it's a very broad platform, and the more you apply a rollout on your project, the more data you have from the different phases in your project lifecycle. So the more data you have to also to feed into the AI to get actionable insights out of it with the insights reporting and dashboarding that it has to offer. The Forma data management also already has a mobile application, and it's also, like I mentioned before, with Autodesk Platform Services. It's an open platform, an open ecosystem with open APIs to connect with external applications to access the data, but also to develop some automations. Next slide, please. I'll highlight a few of the models that we have within Autodesk Forma. First one is Autodesk Forma Design Collaboration, previously known as Autodesk BIM Collaborate, mainly used by the engineers, the ones that actually need to do modeling, because this includes the Revit Cloud work sharing and collaboration for Plan 3D and Civil 3D. Next slide, please. But we also have a Forma for model management. So it's not necessarily for the people that need to do the modeling themselves, but maybe for a project manager or a BIM coordinator that does want to follow up on the design process. How is it going? That maybe wants to follow up on do some coordination themselves. If you have different disciplines, to bring them all together to make sure everything fits well together. The more issues, the more problems you can tackle and resolve earlier in your project lifecycle, so in the planning and design phase, the cheaper it is than to having to rebuild something because something didn't fit together in the execution phase. Besides that, it also includes Recap Pro, because for example, you have an existing built environment, an existing building, an existing bridge, and you might want to fit that with an extension or a renovation part. So you may want to create a point cloud, turn it into a mesh, turn it into a BIM model, and also match or clash that with well, the model that you've created to see that everything fits well together. If you want to do more advanced clash detection, this also includes Navisworks, which you can do more advanced clash detection. And we have integrated workflows for issue management, for example, that you can also update within Navisworks directly. You will also notice that it also includes Tandem, Autodesk Tandem, which is our digital twin visualization platform. It's mainly also used in operational phase to have a digital twin of your as-built environment, but it can also be used already in a planning phase. If you want to do some analysis of how my building will actually function in reality, you can do some simulations for your office building, heat flow mapping, for example, also for the energy, and so forth. So to optimize your design. Next slide, please. Then we have Forma Build, mainly for the execution phase or the building phase of a project. Includes the project management, daily logs, meeting minutes. You can also make your master planning and MS projects or Primavera available to everyone with a Gantt viewer. In the platform, it also includes a more lean planning capability called Work Plan for short-term planning, cost management of your project itself. Where are we with payments? If there is a delay or there are changes with impacts, which impact will that have on our budget or the forecast of the upcoming payments? And then, of course, quality and safety management. If it's forms you need to fill in, standard forms, or is it when you walk around, you want to make a picture, here's a problem, you want to assign that task or issue to a person, to a role, or to a company. You also want to be able to follow up what is the status of that issue. That's something very strong is assets, asset management. An asset can be everything. You can define what an asset is. It can be a room, it can be a door, it can be an air ventilation system. And to that asset, you can connect or attach information. So for the air ventilation system, for example, you can attach a manual for the installation. You can attach certain inspection forms, quality forms that need to be completed. You can also give it a status to follow up on the progress of your execution. So as my air ventilation system been delivered? Has it been installed? Has it been inspected? Has that form been filled in that was attached to that asset? The people can also find it via their tablet or mobile on a 2D plan, 3D plan, or you can attach a QR code to that system. They scan a QR code and have all the relevant information that they need. At the end, you want to hand over an as-built file to your clients. So it also includes handover capabilities. Next slide, please. Now, Autodesk AI, we also invest a lot in AI, of course, like every big tech company, which will help you firsthand to analyze the big amounts of data that you capture within the platform. Also helps to automate workflows to make the life easier of the end user, and it will help augment possibilities, like I mentioned before, with outcome-based BIM functionalities that we have in site design and building designs to give you options that maybe you yourself wouldn't have thought of. Next slide, please. Of course, we do this with a human in the center to get faster answers, reduce risk, but with confidence, and automate workflows. Next slide, please. Now, the big difference between Autodesk AI and other AI tools out there is that Autodesk AI has been trained on actual construction project data. So it has contextual insights. It knows the relationship between design, between cost, between schedule. They know what risk impacts could have on your project. That doesn't take away that you can't use other LLMs out there. So with the AEC data model API, you can access that granular data already with Claude, for example, or ChatGPT or a Copilot, and do some additional automation or ask prompt some additional insights out of it. But the AI that we're developing, which is available within our platform, has that contextual relationship knowledge and understanding. Next slide, please. So we have a lot of agents already available today. I won't go through them one by one. I have a few examples that I want to highlight. Next slide, please. So this is one that will help to automate workflows. So it will help to make the life easier of the end user on site. So the user is a site inspector or just some contractor walks around, they see an issue, they make a picture of the issue, and AI will help to recognize what it sees on that picture. And also with speech to text prompts, it will help automate filling in all the contextual information that it needs to have a full detailed issue, which then can be assigned to, again, a person, specific role, or a whole company to follow up. So this is one example of making the life easier and more efficient on site. Next slide, please. Now, here you see if you upload your master planning, but you can also ask which requests for informations are open that could potentially delay the delivery of steel. And then it will give you all the information that you need, all in natural language, again, to be more proactive, to preventively, if you need to chase certain people for those requests for informations. Next slide, please. And talking about risk, it's not only for requests for informations, you can also ask your projects of all your project data that you have available within the platform. So give me the general risk that could cause any delay, or give me all the open issues, RFIs, submittals that can cause a delay or another impact on the project. And in natural language, Autodesk AI will give you all the information you need, again, to confidently reduce risk on your projects. Next slide, please. So what you've seen the last two examples was the Autodesk Assistant. On the next slide, please. And the Autodesk Assistant will allow you to ask in natural language questions about your project, and it will look across all the information that you have of your project. Next slide, please. This is still in development. For now, you can prompt, well, you can ask your specifications, but also the help content. If you do have a question, how do I do a certain workflow? How does a certain functionality work within Autodesk Forma? You can also ask the help content. And the project data, you already seen some examples. Some are already available today, some are still in public beta, and some are in development. In the future, what I mentioned before, you will also be able to ask the granular data within models, within drawings, within documents. And that's why we're investing a lot in that granular data and a data model, so that people don't have to open the models anymore. They don't have to open the 2D plans. You can just ask in natural language, and it will get an object level detailed information out of it. Next slide, please. Of course, we do this all in a responsible way. If you do have any questions, you can scan the QR code. It will bring you to the Autodesk Trust Center, on which we have different transparency cards. We have a transparency card for each AI functionality within the platform, and it will give you the details of which is the LLM sitting behind it, what kind of information is being used, and so forth. We're also ISO, I need to look at the screen, 42001 certified. It's one of the first ISO certifications that actually shows that we're handling AI in a responsible way. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ben, and good to have this complete overview. I even enjoy that you were talking about the AI beast. So even you look at what it can become in the future. What I've been working with Autodesk and this cloud for many years, starting BIM 360, but now seeing Autodesk showing the Forma platform transition from document related to more data related. What's your expectation this audience will benefit from in the future?
It will make data more accessible for data for now, which was maybe limited to the actual engineer that has experience with opening a Revit model. Now that data will become more available for other people. The data will also become more available to connect with other business-related data, from which you can then have more actionable and better insights, which can drive your business transformation. So I think as data availability, it will, of course, also help with productivity, make it more efficient, because you don't need to ask an expert to share some data, which is also very complex. It will increase productivity for finding the data, increase productivity for connecting the data. It will help getting more actionable insights for your business, which will drive transformation.
Oh, great. Yeah. You showed us a couple of examples already where the data really comes in and talked about strategy. And today we have very small and large companies and even presenters from small and large companies. Is there any difference in the usage, the features, or the possibilities if you are a large or small company and I just buying Autodesk Forma? Is there any difference in it?
Something I didn't mention today, we also have, for example, Build and Build Essentials. Build Essential has the core functionalities that maybe small companies need to have that connected data, to centralize that data, but also capture data from the field with forms, pictures, and issues. So that you can start, well, smaller companies can start there. And then we also have different commercial options if you want to start with one user, if you want to start with one project, and then we can scale from there. And for the bigger companies, the more larger companies, they might need more advanced workflows, advanced capabilities, and they are looking for that integration with their ERP systems to connect that data to get the insights out of it. So we have a range of different, modules that we can offer and different capabilities within the platform that we can offer going, and also a licensing model that we can offer from small, one user, one project to full enterprise.
Great. So for everybody, there's something to use.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Very inspiring to see this presentation of you. Hopefully the whole audience also enjoyed this. And I think now, although we have just had one session, I think that's great that we can have a small break. So we have a small bio break before we go into the next session. So everybody, please take it for just 8 minutes, and we will continue after this small break. So thank you and see you soon.